Over the years, I've observed many executives seem to live a purposeless life. Since I am an executive recruiter, I've read so many CVs of high-level executives, and I found that many of them tend to change jobs every 2 to 3 years, and it has become such a common phenomenon. I'm very curious and ask some of the executives, why they change jobs every 2 to 3 years. Sure, their answers include lack of challenge, company change, many reasons, of course. Perhaps the major reason is that job didn't align with their life purpose. Because when you find a career that aligns with your life purpose, you will find more resilience, you will find more passion, and you will enjoy much more success, and therefore a much more stable job journey. Leaders who align their life purpose with their career tend to enjoy a much bigger success and impact than their counterparts who don't. Today, I'm gonna point out several myths of life purpose. Because if you got the wrong belief about life purpose, you will not gonna find it that easily. And the first myth of life purpose is they tend to think it's about money. When you talk about life purpose, some people might say, I want to have more financial success. But it's not actually true because many rich people still feel life is meaningless. They still think that they haven't found their life purpose. I've known many executives in high-paying jobs who told me their bigger potential hasn't been exerted in their current role. It's not that they haven't earned enough. They are enjoying a really comfortable lifestyle, but they still feel something is lacking. So that's a clear evidence that having a lot of money doesn't equal to a higher life purpose. And even if you're having a really successful career track, like some of my clients are who, have like 20 years of successful history in one single company, and they still couldn't find their career exciting and purposeful enough for them to stay. And so that's why they want to change career, because they didn't find enough meaning to stay in their current job. And so a higher life purpose is finding a bigger meaning in your life. So it's usually not money related, and it's actually other than your commercial success. So you have to think in something more human, more valuable than money alone. And once leaders find a higher life purpose, they usually can have much bigger success and impact than those who don't. So this is the first myth about life purpose. And the second myth about life purpose is that they tend to think purpose is cheap and neglectable. So they think in more practical sense. While they want to enjoy bigger success, they want to have more money, more houses, they want to buy more luxury product. That's why they run around and change career whenever they see a chance to increase their salary, and yet they haven't found a long-lasting and more sustainable career. And that's where the value of life purpose comes in, because when you find a purposeful career, you will create much more value within that career. And therefore, you will be able to achieve so much more in that one job rather than going round around aimlessly. And in comparison to luxury stuff, life purpose is actually priceless, because you can buy luxury stuff with money easily, but you cannot buy a life purpose, no matter how much money you spend. That's because life purpose is a whole journey on its own, and It requires courage and humility, as well as self-awareness and constantly accepting failure and setbacks. And it requires a lot of reflections. And all of these are extremely difficult, even for many successful leaders. But only if you continue on this journey bravely, you can find the life purpose that only you find meaningful. So, because every person has their own life purpose and it's very unique, and therefore this journey is entirely their own, and it can be outsourced or delegated to your employee. You have to embark this whole journey, your own journey of searching for your life purpose on your own. So that's why life purpose is so priceless. And this is the second myth. The third myth is that people tend to think life purpose is an easier task. So they don't put this life purpose thing on top of everything. So they don't make it a priority of their life. And yet, most people will find crisis in their mid-career. And when they reach beyond 40 years old and they realize, well, they made the wrong decision because when they were young, they were after more money, higher salary, and the easier job. And they overlooked career paths that's consistent with their life purpose because they didn't think of the issue of life purpose at all. So when they reach their mid-career, the first time they start to think about this purpose thing. And well, this is natural, of course, because once people have more wealth, they tend to think about a higher level of needs according to the Maslow needs pyramid. But that time is a bit late because they realize that they need to change their whole career path. They are facing a paradox that they don't have the capacity to work on the career that's compatible with their life purpose. For instance, when I first think about the life purpose question, was 27 years old. I've spent 8 years on that journey to finally getting the chance to pursue my life purpose. And then I have to spend another 8 years to learn the new skill from scratch at the age of 35. And most people, when they are at that age, they're facing a lot of difficulties, both in life and work. So most of them could not possibly take the risk or the kind of sacrifice needed to make that kind of transition, because starting again from scratch requires a huge courage and stronger belief upon yourself, as well as a lot of efforts. But luckily, finding our life purpose is entirely worthwhile of the whole risks. And we can start actually at any age. And we've heard of many successful stories of people starting to pursue their life calling at the age of 70 or 80 years old. And there's so many examples on the news. Therefore, finding a purposeful career can actually help us enjoy a much more sustainable success. And this is the ultimate pursuit of everybody, basically.